So your first recollection of this scoliosis, at least starting, was back when you were a teenager?
Yeah, young teenager.
Young teenager. Mm-hmm. But then when you get to lumbar 2, he's almost shifted over about I don't know, like ½ inch.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that was something. Cool.
Yeah, those bones have not moved in a long time.
It is really interesting.
All right, Mark. Quite an MRI I just looked at.
Yes,
but
yes.
Give me your history, what you've been through. I know you said you had a brace on when you were a kid. You have scoliosis.
Yeah, I was diagnosed when I was about in 8th grade.
Okay.
In 9th grade, I wore the summer of my 9th grade, I wore a Milwaukee brace.
Yes.
23 hours a day, took it off for 1 hour for showers for 11 months.
Okay.
From then on, I had very good posture, by the way, after that Milwaukee brace, because of the way
Held
you together
right.
for a couple of years. Then I just went to college, had to have guys kind of give me adjustments every once in a while because it felt tight, you know.
Late teens, 20s, you're getting adjustments.
By non-professionals.
Okay.
And then, every once in a while I'd see a chiropractor. I did self-adjustments for 10 years in my 20s and early 30s,
Okay.
which but that was one way I could get relief. And then after a certain point, I couldn't do that anymore. It started, I couldn't do my neck anymore. I couldn't do my hips anymore.
Just to pause you, what was the main symptom you were feeling, let's say in your 20s? What were you trying to get relief from?
Tight lower back.
Just tightness in the lower back. Nothing
Yeah.
was going down the legs.
No.
Just some maybe sharp pain or just tightness?
Pretty painful.
Sharp pain,
yeah.
With muscle spasms.
Yeah,
Okay,
muscle
got
spasms,
that.
I would
Okay.
assume, yes.
Okay.
As I've gotten older, I have noticed this IT band
Okay.
has become a real problem,
Okay.
and I've had chiropractors and masseuses use their elbow
right.
on it and get great relief. I owned a hot tub at one time, put all the jets, and would do my own treatment on that IT band.
Okay.
It would help. Didn't help that much on my lower back, though.
Okay. You said more recently you went and had some traction done. How
Yes,
long ago
one
was that?
time. I'm going to say about a year and a half ago.
So a year and a half ago you have,
A single episode of a table.
you're laying down and they're just pulling it.
Right.
So you got a severe scoliosis, they're trying to pull it straight, and what'd you feel?
I ended up for a few days nothing, and then I got huge muscle spasm in my mid back.
Uh-huh.
Went to my physician. He ordered some MRIs and some other X-rays.
Right.
Went to 2 or 3 back surgeons. The last one said I would never do surgery on this. It's too. I said I didn't really come here for surgery, but
Sure.
he said no. You're going to have to live with this. You're going to. It's that your curve is going to turn 1 degree worse every year
Yeah.
from this point on.
Now the symptoms you felt a couple days after that traction, were they in the area that usually bothers you or in a different area?
About the same area, a little bit higher than your hip is where mid back is where I really got a bad muscle spasm.
So kind of a reproduction, but at a higher level of what you usually
Yes.
feel, but just kind of really...
Right.
Right. Okay. So, like I said, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But what I know with the spine is that we have parts of the spine that, like I was trying to say, that are stiff and parts of their spine that are loose. And even with the scoliosis, when you have a lateral bending, you have parts of the spine that are moving too much. And my worry with straight traction like that is that even though we have the good intention of trying to pull the spine straight, the loosest parts of your spine are going to move the most. So my worry is, how do we know we're not further loosening what's loose and not loosening what's stiff?
Okay.
Where I want to work with you today, and I'm interested as I feel your spine today, I'll have more information for you, is to try to target and identify the stiffest parts that are not moving and see if we can take stress off of and move around where, in a second I'll have you point where that was, and then try to move the stress away from it. Can you reach and tell me kind of where you felt the most discomfort, or how about right now, where's the most pain?
You know what? After 50 years of this condition, I don't have real pain. I have real tightness,
Okay.
though. Not much motion, but right up in here
Sure.
is where it
On the high
spasmed.
side.
Yes.
Yeah,
on
so
the high-
we call it the muscles, because the scoliosis, let me get a model. When you have a lateral bend, so essentially it always goes to the right in the chest and then it goes to the left in the lumbar. And this has to do with the heart being here on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all virtual scolioses are always to the right in the chest. And then, so on the high side, the right upper and the left lower are going to be, not only you'll see the muscles pushed up because they're actually rotated, the vertebrae are rotated, and they're actually going to elevate the musculature, and the muscles are tight because the bones aren't in the right position, right?
Okay.
So because of that laterality, the muscles are always going to have some level of stiffness that we're going to need to, work on, like massage or gua sha, and even some pressure on here to help get some blood flow into these tight muscles. Muscles build up a lot of lactic acid. The lactic acid can irritate the nerves. How long has it been since your last adjustment?
Oh, about 6 months ago.
And what do you usually go through? I'm just going to get...
The only sure things they can adjust is my neck.
Okay.
The lateral hip, I forgot what it's called.
Side posture.
Yeah. I used to do that on my own. They can't get much. The only that occasionally they'll give me a fist on my back, and they
Try
can
to
give
push your chest.
a few.
Good.
That's about the limit of any kind of relief that I get when I go to a chiropractor.
How does that feel when they do the hug adjustment? Is there a lot of discomfort? Are you okay?
No discomfort at all. It feels great.
Okay.
Because I can't do it myself.
Okay. I'm just gonna give you an overview. I took a picture of your MRI.
That's a trip.
So your first recollection of this scoliosis, at least starting, was back when you were a teenager?
Yeah, young teenager.
Young teenager.
Mhm.
That's usually when they develop. What happens is as you're growing, the spinal cord is housed inside your spinal canal, which the bones are wrapping around. The spinal cord cannot grow as quickly as the bones grow. And so in an attempt to alleviate pressure on the cord inside there, the spine buckles laterally,
Okay.
right, to shorten the distance, essentially. And so you can't correct
Right.
structural scoliosis.
Understand.
Some semblance of this has to be here simply because your bones are taller than your spinal cord allows it to be.
Okay.
So the managing factor that we're going to have with scoliosis is keeping everything limber, making sure that the areas of the greatest lateral curvature are staying limber. They're going to want to tighten up very quickly. I find even with my own back, I have about a 19-degree scoliosis. I have to have a little bit more care, especially around those lateral areas, to keep them loose because they're always going to get tight.
Yes.
There's an extra level of muscular contracture going on in there because of the laterality. So routine adjustments to some degree, massages at the very least to keep that moving. What's happening, in my opinion, what's going on here is that there's actually a rotation. So the side that the scoliosis, see the curve is going to our right here, the vertebrae actually rotates to the side. So it's not like it's fallen off, it's actually rotated. There's a rotational component along with a lateral bending component going on here. And this MRI is just taking slices, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at one slice here. Same thing going on with this vertebrae. There's a lot of rotation going on with this. And this way you'll probably, you'll be able to rotate one side real easily, and the other side's a lot stiffer because the vertebrae are already kind of rotated for you one way, and that'll affect your range of motion.
I have family members who tell me when I'm reversing the car
Right.
that I don't turn far enough. Well, I can't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit now. I'm kind of limited to about here, so I've got to use mirrors and
So you can
prayers
turn
to
left.
change lanes.
So you-
Well, I can turn
Left.
better left than I can right. Yeah, which I need to turn right to look behind me driving.
What's causing that is the vertebrae are already essentially in a left rotation position, which then makes left rotating farther easier. Versus if they're stuck in left rotation, then you have to go from here. It's a huge distance
Yeah.
to go
Mhm.
to the right. The main thing that I see with this is we have 24 vertebrae, and very likely a large percentage of those aren't there working properly. And so many vertebrae, especially when they've been stiff for a long period of time, build up what we call plaque or crystals form in the joints that don't move. That takes only about 10 days to happen. Very quickly joints can become frozen in the similar principle of what we call frozen shoulder, right? Somebody can injure their shoulder and their shoulder can become frozen. That principle can be applied to any joint in your body. When there's stiffness in an area, the joint will start to become frozen, and then because one joint freezes, another one has to compensate. That's what I'm interested in checking. The adjustment is simply a way to speed up that process of unlocking the parts that are tight.
Okay.
Turning, okay, now turn to the right side. So same thing, a little bit more restricted going to the right hand
Yeah,
side.
I can't go any further.
Okay.
Like, so the goal today, like, what is your ultimate goal coming traveling here? What do you want from
Well,
him that you haven't?
I really want a little bit better understanding of how much better I can expect to ever get,
Okay.
or am I kind of here and then getting continually a little more stiff and a little more tight? I'm just hoping to be able
Sure.
to loosen up a little
Sure.
bit more.
What I generally see with almost every patient I see in my practice, I take 10, 15 years off. That's the most realistic, what we
Yeah.
call limitations of matter. That however you were feeling 10, 15 years ago, which hopefully wasn't
Better,
so bad,
yeah,
we can try to get you there and then hold you there is more realistic. I can't make you feel 20 again, but
Yeah.
by working on you and waking up some of the frozen areas, we can take off about 10, 15
Yeah,
years.
great.
So have you start on your back for me. All right, take a deep breath in for me. I'm gonna go pretty gentle here. Keep the head back on that little headrest. I'm gonna go pretty easy here. Exhale, exhale. All right, deep breath in. I'm gonna go a little deeper in a second.
Yeah.
Breathe in, easy. All right, deep breath in. I'll go a little deeper. I got you, I'm learning you. Exhale. A little bit. Here we go. All right, one more. I got you, it's okay. Breathe. Let it go. All right, good. Stay there. Stay there.
If you'll go right around here,
Uh-huh.
maybe you might get it a little lower.
A little lower? Okay. All right, deep breath in. I'm learning you. I feel it. Yeah, I'm trying to get it. Yeah, there we go. There it is. Yeah. He knows his back. Yeah, we got a lot of tightness in there.
Yeah.
My worry is that the spine actually feels really healthy. Just from what I felt.
Yeah.
He's got a really strong back, but I'm actually more worried about the connections to the front.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is, because we get rounded forward, these connections on the front can get jammed. Here we go. I got your head. There we go. There we go. Everything's pushed out to the right-hand side here. We'll spend a little bit more time here on the right trying to unlock this right side. We'll get that. We can definitely improve your cervical range of motion, your ability to turn your neck. There we go. There you go. Very nice. Yep. Very nice. Okay. Relax right here. Let it go. All right, a little piece.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get some more. I wanted to get an idea of how your spine moved cold. So I wanted to see, which employees are showing up without anybody having to call anybody or, kick down doors. Now we're gonna do some soft tissue work to see what's the potential that I can unlock, right? Who can I actually get, off their butt to the assembly line and back working for you, right? And so it's like I'm getting a baseline first, and then we're gonna see how much I can improve it here. Typically what I see, whether you have a scoliosis or no scoliosis, is that 5 vertebrae end up doing 99% of the work. Your wife asked me about arthritis, and it's like, well, yes, I can see some vertebrae are older than he is, but I also see a lot of vertebrae that are younger than he is. And my interest isn't in the older ones. My interest is in the younger ones and how much potential and capability that I have to restore the function in those areas that are young and stiff. And the more they're working for him, the younger he's going to feel. Because you feel as old as the average age of the parts of your spine that work. If you only have the older parts working, I'm in a lot of pain. I have a lot of tightness. Tightness is a guarding. Your body, is trying to splint, protect and tighten joints that are injured. So on the high side of the rainbow, we call it. So if the scoliosis is like this, the high side would be the top side. The joints are separated. Think of the joints like a handshake. You have 2 vertebrae that glide over each other, right? Like a handshake. When the hands are overlapping completely, there's a lot of stability between the joints, right? But if we separate our hands and we separate the handshake, now muscles have to be used to hold everything together, right? Now, because you have a scoliosis, structurally, because the spinal cord or whatever reason is causing that scoliosis, we can't stop the reason for why those joints are separated. So those muscles are going to have to work, right? And so somebody needs to be behind them with some Gatorade, giving them some food. You understand? There's a lot of lactic. Correct. And maybe you have a weekly massage, and maybe you have maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. More care might need to be done to alleviate that. Now, I believe the more we can get the parts of your spine that are stiff working, the less your body will need to guard the injured ones, the injured joints that are, but they are separated. I can see on the MRI there, and they're separated to a large degree, which makes you lose the inherent stability of the spine, which comes from the posture, the joint overlapping, the alignment. And so, yes, muscles, and actually, I know you said that was one of your first symptoms back in your 20s.
Yeah.
Tightness, correct. That's simply the vertebrae aren't in the right position. I can tell people have worked on you. I can tell this is, I'm just seeing what you can handle here.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good tolerance for
Okay,
this.
you're doing great.
Yeah.
Doing great. Okay. All right.
Side seems a lot sore, more sore, yeah.
Well, the left is going to be definitely your
Okay.
your abuse side, right?
Yeah.
So the right side is locked.
No.
So the left side is going to be the side that what we call hypermobile. It's already, moving. The circulation, well, let's say this. The difference between an artery and a vein is arteries have 3 layers, veins have 2 layers. So there's a muscle, think of like a hamburger, right? You have 2 pieces of bread and a piece of meat in the middle. A vein is just 2 pieces of bread, right? There's no meat. So that meat, that muscle that's in the wall of the artery, essentially is what controls your blood pressure. That's what either relaxes and dilates or contracts and constricts, right? That's how your blood pressure is regulated, is through this. Now that muscle is what's supposed to be used to push blood into some of these areas. Now because there's a lot of tightness, because the vertebrae aren't in the right position, some of those arteries have a hard time pushing blood to the top of Mount Everest. Now oxygen's needed to help get rid of the lactic acid, right? That's kind of the cellular exhaust, the waste product that your muscles are producing as they are staying contracted. So what are you trying to do here, Ed? I'm trying to, one, push, right? We're going to I'm mechanically pushing blood, bringing blood to the top of this mountain, and then 2, trying to actually loosen up the area so the mountain's not so tall, right? So it's not so much effort. Now that muscle, just like any skeletal muscle in your body, it can atrophy, right? If you don't use your bicep, right, eventually it shrinks. And in the same way, the circulatory system, the muscle that's in the artery wall, can weaken over time if it's not successful at pushing against that tightness. All right, there we go. All right. And please, if I'm ever going too hard, please let me know, okay?
That rarely
All right.
happens.
Okay, all right, that's good to hear. Your family members heard you say that, okay? All right, I'm just... Well, you could have told him to back off. He asked you. All right, fair enough. I like being on that side of the fence.
Okay.
There we go. To some degree, the lateral bending of your spine has to do with the loss of your front to back curves. So we're supposed to have a curve in our lumbar and in our neck, front to back, not lateral, but front to back. When the spine starts to go laterally, it usually takes some of that curve or most of that curve out of our front to back curves. And so in some way, your spine can stay curved, but we got to move some of that lateral curve back into a front to back curve.
Okay.
In order to accomplish that, we use a device called a Deneroll. These are orthotics that we mold our spine. And at the end of our visit, I'll show you one. It emulates my hand like I'm doing on your neck right now. And I'd be very curious how it feels and how much time you could spend on it, because essentially that's how I would try to minimize your scoliosis. I have a unique way I look at scoliosis. I'm not, probably not something you can Google. I believe there's something called a baseline, that whatever his curve is, 60 degrees, some of that curve needs to be there. What I believe to some degree is you have fed it to maybe a larger than it needs to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe it needs to be 40, right? But he's fed it to 60. I don't know that. It might need to be 59 degrees. I don't know. But the goal with stretching and reducing your scoliosis should be to try to locate baseline. And everybody's different. Mine's 19 degrees. Some people's are, So we start aiming you in that direction. So they said that your scoliosis is going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
1 degree a year.
Well, that's the only reason that the scoliosis would grow is if the discs keep collapsing. So if the discs keep collapsing, right, the discs are made of water, about 70-80% water. And that's why they're saying that. They're saying that the discs are going to continue to dehydrate, and therefore it's going to continue to buckle because of disc dehydration. Now that doesn't need to happen. Discs don't, and that would actually then encourage me that we can reverse it if we rehydrate the discs, right? How do we rehydrate discs? Arching back, right? And so that would be the idea of loosening you up and then maybe starting with a rolled up towel, something to put in his middle back and start arching him back to try to keep his discs hydrated. The discs are like a sponge or like your ear. They really feel like your ear. They're actually close to it's cartilage. It's a spongy substance that is made of water, and if it's under compression all the time because we're forwardly rotated, then it dehydrates, and that's what's going to cause it to buckle and increase your scoliosis. So then where was the conversation of trying to rehydrate your discs? They didn't have it because they're not interested, because nobody really wants to
Take the long road.
right
Yeah.
take the long road. But that would be why why I'm permitted to say we can take 10-15 years off. We can undo some of that severity of that scoliosis. All right. The goal with any stretching is to bring you to your limit, right, and then back off a little bit, right? And where that limit is will change with care, with massage and adjustments. Hey, I'm going deeper, you know, and we try to, it's like a physical trainer at a gym. I'm here to push you, but not overwhelm you. I'm here to try to find where the edge is, okay? Lift, and back off a little bit. And we try to hold. So posture is through stretching for about 20 minutes. It takes 20 minutes for ligaments to start being altered. It's unlike a muscle, which you can stretch in a few minutes. Ligaments take a little longer, about 20 minutes to reach their fatigue point. So we have to try to get your spine in the right alignment and then hold it there for 20 minutes and then see how your body responds to that, you know, stretching essentially. I'm waiting. There it is. A little bit. Good. All right, easy. Good. All right. Let me have you sit up for me. I'm just going to feel here for a second. Just keep breathing. You're doing great. Breathe. There you go. All right. Yeah. Yeah, you need these poor areas are in lockdown right here. They need some, they haven't been fed in a while. Get some meals to these guys. All right, I got you. All right, I got you. Easy, yep. Exhale. All right, let's go this side for me, this side.
Don't feel bad. You're getting any movement there.
You're fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
I feel the tightness.
Yeah.
I feel what we're up against. There we go. All right, I got you. Okay, I got you. Not gonna fall. I got you.
Okay.
I got you. Not gonna fall.
A little guarding on my part.
I got it. All right, let's go face down for me. But yeah, these joints are going to be a lot of, like right there. That's the peak. There's going to be quite a bit of mark coming out right here. So based on the amount of lactic acid that these muscles have accrued. That's it. That would be the way it. So we want to. You're going to see me working on the high side, heavily on the right, heavily on the left, trying to compress. And like I said earlier, my worry is, you know, with those type of tractions, they can't discriminate, right? They only it mainly moves the parts that are loose and doesn't move the parts that are stiff. So, you know, we're not really effectively balancing the elbow, and with my hand behind your back, I can kind of isolate certain areas and target certain areas. Even though, yes, to some degree, every vertebrae is going to move, 95% of my force went into the area that I wanted, and a very little went into areas that I didn't want. And it's a targeted adjustment, we call it. Doing okay with this pressure? Go a little deeper? What do you think?
You can go deeper, sure.
Okay, all right, here we go. I'm learning you. Any joint that was not moving, that I get moving, isn't going to like you tomorrow, okay? So don't be disheartened.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Actually, it feels like a healing hurt, so
Okay, all right.
I'll be good with it.
I've never been accused of going too easy on someone. I've never had. Dr. Ed, I really didn't feel much. Never been told that. Keep breathing. Come on, there you go. Good. Uh-huh. All right. Take a break. Yeah, okay, all right, I got you.
I'm good. No,
Okay,
it's
all
not.
right, all right. Right there, yeah. It's actually really, most of it's in your lumbar. There's really not much. There's a little right here.
Right there, yeah.
There's not a whole lot of right. It's mainly a left lumbar curve. Yeah, the SI joint's an interesting one. It's an angled joint, so you almost have to go, it's not P to A pressure on it. Like the spine, I'm going directly this way. With this, you almost have to go, it's like a lateral, almost 45
Yeah, right there.
to get right into that.
In that direction.
Yep, it's got to be right there.
This is what bothers me when I sat too long.
Uh-huh.
Which is like most of my days, isn't it, Gail?
You got to keep the couch from flying away. If it's floating away, you gotta lay on it. Yeah, right there. This is where the muscle is. So the muscle that the tensor fasciolata muscles are up here. TFL muscle right here at the top of the greater trochanter, goes up to the ilium, right there. So this muscle is a stabilization muscle, and obviously it's just being overworked. And
Not really feeling anything up there on
Okay.
those last ones.
okay, good. Yeah, right there. big difference. Feel the difference here?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is why your left knee, it's not a coincidence that the left knee had a total knee replacement and the left glute here is all filled with fluid. Back, take breaks and then do a couple rounds.
That's mid-back, right?
Right. Lumbar 1, yeah, about lumbar
Okay.
1 right here, T12, about thoracolumbar junction, right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Diaphragm attachment, quadratus lumborum attachments in here. Lats, traps, big intersection right here.
Amy, if I need to tag team, let you in, will you take it? Okay.
Gladly.
I don't get tired that easily.
No, for me.
Whoa! Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's difficult with just palpating a scoliosis is that the vertebrae, the spinous will rotate back to midline, right? So if I just did the spinuses, you understand?
So it's
There's almost no scoliosis,
it's
right? Because you can't
rotated
trust the
deeper.
spinuses.
Gotcha.
Because the
Usually
vertebrae's
it's-
way over here,
Right.
but the spinous is still in midline, right? So, right, it's still, the bump that you can feel on your back called the spinous process is I'm running my hand down the spinuses, but the vertebrae are way over here. Because what happens is the vertebrae has wings on them called transverse process. When you rotate the vertebrae, the transverse process pushes up all the tissue, right? That's what you're seeing is the bump here.
Okay.
You're mainly seeing the rotation. The laterality, which it's really the rotation, not so much the vertebrae over here. The rotation raises this and elevates this. But the spinous is right there. There's the spinous. It's only like a quarter inch off to the left. You understand? So it's called coupled motion, but the vertebrae rotate back to midline. So, but if I was gonna,
Follow.
so it's definitely elevated. It's a minimally. I would say it looks like this. It goes to the right here, and then it goes more severely to the left. So the marks are like you see the darkest comes right over the peak there. Where the most acidity is also going to be where it's the stiffest, where it's the most misaligned. Those are all going to correlate. The most difficult concept with the spine to understand is that only half your spine has feeling. So a lot of practitioners are going to have a inclination to want to round you forward, to take weight off the things that have feeling, right, and put it on the weight structures that don't have feeling, which is then what made that doctor say that your spine's going to buckle more every degree every year, because the more you round forward, the more those discs dehydrate. But it has the capacity to give us temporary relief, not to the tightness, just to nerve pressure. And we might not have nerve pressure, but you're in avoidance, so you would if you weren't avoiding. And so this is one of the concerns as we start arching you back, which will start at the end of the visit. You're in avoidance. So as we unavoid you, we're going to run into the things that you're avoiding. You're hurting me. No, I'm making you confront the things that you ran away from. Now, as we stand you upright, the muscles will get a break, right? That's why I asked him, what's your main symptom? Tightness. That's because of the alignment and the forward rotation. But just understand that we're going to go into the areas that he's been running away from, and with that, it's like going up into an attic and moving boxes. I got a brown widow bit me. I shouldn't have been up here. Well, I'm moving stuff around, and sometimes things that are hidden will bite you. about millimeter by millimeter is how it leaves the same way it arrived. You know, it slowly grew, it slowly diminishes.
What does it feel like then?
Fine, it just feels like a...
Yeah. No, this is the
Just
more.
like a back scratch?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, they've done this for 1,000 years. This is the way before chiropractic was started. They were combing people,
Yeah.
just blood flow. And, right, it's what the muscles need. The muscles need oxygen to bind to lactic acid to form carbon dioxide and water. Right, so the whole purpose of breathing oxygen is to actually remove acidity. And then your body hydrates itself. Isn't that cool? Your body hydrates itself by burning energy and producing and dealing with lactic acid. Your body hydrates and then makes carbon dioxide. That exchange occurs. There we go. And then there's some hair on the top. This is the high side on the right here. You can see. Kind of.
It's not a lot came out.
Correct. Yeah. No. This is the high side on the right. That's the. There we go. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. He knows it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the good spot right there. Ed. The yep heard round the world. Yep.
It's the question that nobody answers. But when you find it, you know it.
Just going by every vertebrae and saying, "Can you help a little bit? You know, you're not injured. Can you help out? Can you bring some assistance to this team?" Right? That's all we're doing. We're just the adjustments. Hurry it up, right? If you just did massage, it would to me take way too long. The adjustments can get it done in a more reasonable time. If you do both together, then they kind of amplify each other, right? Just adjustments alone takes longer. If you just did massage, it takes longer. So you combine everything. You have everything, gua sha and stretching. You combine all these elements. I think of it like the grocery store Publix. You know, they combined everything. You have a bakery, a butcher shop, you got a produce. They have everything, right? They used to be, I believe, my understanding is that everything was a separate place. You had to go to a butcher shop, you had to go to a bakery, and then we combined it all into one building. So you didn't have to make multiple, right? And that's what I think the McLaughlin technique, the McLaughlin method, is to, put it all in one, right? So you don't just adjust and do soft tissue work and stretch, and you complete the whole package of how do we restore spinal health. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Right there.
You found another one.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
It didn't really hurt, but that's a protective mechanism.
Mhm,
But I feel it down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would first kind of go big. We're going to take a rolled up towel. We're going to lay it right here and see how upset he gets at us. That's the first thing we're going to, You know, there's all sorts of advanced things. We can do pressure just on one side. I'm not going to go in there. You know, that would be like visit 5, 6, 7, where you do start testing out what happens if we just place it on one side, right? But for now, we're just going to use both sides, and we'll just see how. They make a device called a Scoli roll, where you're actually laying on your side. You know, again, these are, if you're wondering, why haven't you talked about this yet? It's on the Chiropractic Biophysics website. That would be like month 6. Do you understand? There's a process. There's other tools that I haven't talked about. The first phase of this kind of care is what I call the demolition phase. You want to make sure everybody moves, and with just getting everybody moving, he's going to have an immense quality of life improvement just by mobilizing and restoring function to all the tight areas. Right. So if I hold something close to my body, I don't have to do as much muscular work if I hold it close to me. If I hold something out extended, my muscles work harder. So it's like, well, I got a lot of tightness. Right, because you're in a position that should be here, and then the muscles can relax. So based on the position the vertebrae are in, with that, there's going to be, and then lactic acid and, you know, pain. This is where some level of massage and work to, you know, hydrate this tissue, but mainly to make it last longer, counter stretching up to the point where we annoy him too much. You're gonna when you start undoing this, you're gonna run into everything that you ran away from to get here, and then the understanding of baseline, right? Of you know how much of this laterality needs to be here simply because your spinal cord is not long enough. They call it spinal cord tethering, is what it's called, and that was a seminar, I don't know, a decade ago, and they were just. This hasn't been understood for more than like 20, 30 years. This isn't like, you know, when you were having the Milwaukee brace, they didn't understand this. You're saying they didn't understand that your spinal cord wasn't long enough. It's only maybe in the last 20 years they've really, at least mainstream in chiropractic, or at least the postural part of chiropractic, has understood this. Essentially, MRIs weren't invented until the 70s, you know, and so you had to be able to pull it straight and then take an MRI of somebody to see where the brain is, and we started seeing the brain starts to get pulled into the neck. Do you understand? So because it's not long enough.
Sure.
So you gotta stop. You can't pull your brain into your neck. The pons, the medulla, they should be right at the foramen magnum or just above the foramen magnum. And you started seeing the pons and the medulla start coming down into the neck. Yeah, let's not do that. And then a constant head. You can't lengthen your spine. You know, maybe nobody's talking about that.
Yeah. Okay.
I would love to have mine to be lengthened, but no. I mean, yeah, grow your nervous system, grow your spinal cord. Good luck.
You have that.
Well, what the talk is on is that the filum terminale, the spinal cord attaches to your tailbone, and there's like a cord that wraps around your tailbone that it is tethered to. So the idea would be to like untether that and untether the bottom end, right? Well, you might cause a lot of pain. You might cause more suffering going in there, messing with that. Now I got constant sciatica because again, I'm not a surgeon, but I'm just saying, I bet you somebody smarter than me has looked at it and said, no, we're just going to put braces on it and, you know, painkillers and, you know, I don't know, it's too much. Maybe one day, I don't know. We'll get there. I don't know. I'll keep posted. Mm-hmm. I'm watching. I read the journals. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything about surgery on the spinal, other than young people, and then they end up, to me, causing more problems immobilizing it. Because if you immobilize it, I just got done telling you that the tissue keeps itself clean through mobility. So now you put a rod in there and hardened it. Okay, maybe you fix some of the structure, but now you have all this inflammation built up from it not being able to wash itself through mobility. So immobilization isn't a great end game either. So the muscles primarily in the quad and the side of the knee. The tighter these muscles get, it puts the knee under a vice grip. So, you know, part of it is even how you walk, you know, because this is shifted over here, you favor this side, which then tightens the muscles, that then vice grips the knee, that inflames the nerves that go to the knee. All of this is additive in its effect on the knee, but the reason why your left knee had a total knee replacement and your right isn't a coincidence. It's, this is where extra stress was going, and then, okay. Okay. Yeah, right there. Yep. There you go. Yeah, just gotta find the spot, and eventually it fatigues out. But again, it's not like these muscles are the problem. These are just the effects
Yeah.
of they're hard-working muscles in here that aren't doing anything wrong. They've just been tasked with an impossible task, and now, they just are doing the best they can. To some degree, you need, all these areas need to be hydrated. And there you go. Mhm. Right there, yeah. Show me your range of motion. Just lift up your arm from the side. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I can go higher, but
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's about-
yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
We're sitting over here doing everything.
yeah, what's your range of motion?
Never thought of it.
I just remember having a fall cleaning that hot tub 25 or 30 years ago.
Okay.
And about 25 or 30 years ago, I fell on the ice getting the newspaper, and both times my shoulder shot up. And I think I'm just now, as I get older,
Mm-hmm.
those demons are.
Right, the little bodies you buried are now saying,
Yeah.
hey, you remember me. Your body doesn't forget.
Yeah, you can mask it. It
right.
doesn't forget.
Every scar, every cut on your skin, you could show me something that happened when you were a kid. And
Yeah.
yeah, internally it doesn't forget either. A little bit there, but not a little bit of a mark, but nothing crazy.
And the paper didn't have anything interesting that day.
Oh,
You know, one of
man.
those-
Oh, jeez. Bait and switch.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely didn't have anything interesting when you were injured.
Yeah.
You're like,
I couldn't move my arm to turn
There
the
better be
pages, so I couldn't read the front page.
there better be some coupons in this. There definitely is a genetic component for structural scoliosis that essentially, like I said, the bones are growing more than the spinal cord just doesn't have the genetic information to grow at the same rate, or even I think it has to do with growth spurts, that when you have a spurt of growth, the bones can grow faster. So the actual growth of the bone stimulates the spinal cord to grow, right? And nerves can't grow as quickly as bones can grow. Now, if you grow more steadily, then you don't have scoliosis because they can kind of stay in tune with each other. But when you have these giant spurts of growth where you're like, I grew an inch in a month, the nervous system can't keep up and it buckles.
So that's why we start looking for scoliosis with kids at that 11,
Right.
12,
Well, you
13,
wanna-
right in those years at the growth.
You want to stimulate the spine all through their time of growth, right? Through chiropractic, right? You don't just wait for growth to stimulate the spinal cord to grow. You want to many kids are sitting 14, 16 hours a day, right?
Oh,
right.
yeah.
These
Sure.
are the,
I see that.
that's all that
Okay.
lactic acid
Yes.
there. More
I see
on
the
the
space.
left
Yes,
side there.
uh-huh,
And
right.
there's some even on that right upper.
None on those ribs, but all these ribs. Yeah.
Muscles are tighter.
Mhm.
I got you. I got you. It's okay. There you go. There you go. I got you. Breathe. There you go. Yeah. He's. There you go. Yeah. It's okay. I got you. Not asking the joint something to do something outside what they're meant to do. They're meant to move around just like your finger knuckles are designed to bend, right? Now, if I asked you to bend your finger knuckle, you're saying you went like that. Well, that's pretty good. No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's supposed to do that, right? The
Yeah.
joint's supposed to bend fully, and so sometimes we lose. I got you. Easy, move gentle. Good. Okay. I got you, yeah. There you go, yeah, it's a lot of power, man. If he doesn't want a bone to move, I got you, there you go. Wow, he's got power. I gotta trick him to get the bones to move. Exhale. I got you, easy. There you go.
Oh, you got that was an interesting one.
Being careful on your surgery side here, but easy, I got you. Okay, all right. Hand around your hip for me, just like that. There we go. And then you're gonna press back right there. Yeah, we moved. Yep, good. Kind of a silent click, but it moved. Yep. Push. Good. Good. All right. Let me just check ears here. There we go. Go ahead and tilt your head left. So we're just gonna tilt that way as best you can. It's gonna be a little resistance. One
Yeah.
second. Keep your head straight.
Okay.
And then go ahead and tilt left. Good. Go ahead. There we go. Good. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna go to the right. Go and tilt right. Good. And then tilt to the right. Tilt right. There we go. Yep.
Tiny ones, yeah.
You did good. Hands feel good. Yeah. No. See, he's pretty tough here. All right, take a deep breath in. And back.
Wow.
That was something.
All right, breathe. I got you. All right, one more. All right, last one. Good.
Cool. Okay, those bones have not moved in a long time.
You're gonna have a workout.
That was like 3 or 4 there.
Yeah, it was.
Well, correct.
My
Yeah,
hips.
let it arch. Yeah, let it arch. The idea is actually let your body just sink into the floor.
Right.
You just relax onto the molding device is ultimately the goal.
Oh.
You shouldn't have to do any active,
Okay.
lifting. You're just incrementally increasing the size of what's behind you, and your back will simply mold to
From a
it.
massage standpoint, what should I have work on?
Well,
Because,
where I worked on you today, it's pretty simple. That right there in that middle back on the left side, you're not going to change the position of anything massaging or adjusting.
Yeah.
It only can be done through what I'm trying to show you right here. Because your back is unlevel, the side that's higher will get more pressure. So you'll feel like you're crooked on it, essentially. But your back's unlevel. You understand?
Yeah.
And then as you do it more, it'll start to level out and you won't feel as crooked. But exactly, you place, and then you move this. So right now you have this like kind of up here,
Yeah.
and this could go a little lower. But the whole chest area, from really here to even all the way up to here,
Yeah.
the whole chest could be targeted. It'll be more difficult lower. It'll be less difficult higher. It's going to be more difficult where the misalignment is the largest, right? So we want to target the peak of that misalignment.
Well, you've probably seen those braces that people can put on to increase
Right.
It's just really more of a suggestion to you to stand up straight with your head out, or does it?
Well, it's to me, you're robbing and paying, right? So you're forcing somebody to be upright,
Yeah.
but you're also stiffening them.
Oh, I see, because
Right.
it's more like this, yeah.
Because spinal health is a combination of alignment and mobility, right? So you're sacrificing mobility, right? We're stiffening you, but we're making your mind better. So are we really netting
Any, yeah,
any?
goal.
Any-
That's a good question,
Yeah.
though.
Well, because I saw a picture that Justin took of me holding Leo's hand, walking toward the house.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
you know, I thought to myself, that is really an ugly looking posture, you know?
Well,
You
yeah,
want-
you don't realize how much you're.
You do.
I know.
Yeah.
And
You
you're
want to
jutting
have
your
good
head forward
posture.
like this.
Yeah.
You want to have good posture and that be where you want to be.
Yeah.
How you feeling? You okay?
I'm feeling great.
All right, wonderful. Thanks for
all your
dropping in.
work.
Thanks for flying in.
No, no, thanks for all your work you did.
You did great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank
Wow.
Shot like a picture because I've tried to.
you. It's so tight.
Oh, you just ripped it.
That's a seam or a back?
All right, I want you. Yeah, that. So if you could both, so you can see his, you can
sure
see it.
can.
Yep.
You absolutely. But this, if you could see it from our view, it is really interesting. Good
So you can
idea.
see